The entire diner froze as the sound of the slap echoed like a gunshot. Earl Thompson, an 85-year-old Korean War veteran, sat stunned in his booth, his wrinkled cheek burning red. The biker towering over him sneered, fists clenched, tattoos crawling up his arms like snakes. "Watch your mouth, old man," he growled. All around, forks stopped midair. Conversations died. Someone gasped. But no one moved. Not yet. Because no one knew that in just 30 minutes, the entire diner, and the arrogant biker, would face a reckoning they would never forget. The quiet hero. Earl wasn't a loud man. He had lived through gunfire, bitter winters, and the weight of holding fallen brothers in his arms. He had earned his peace. Every morning, he came to Rosie's diner, sat in the same worn-out red booth, ordered black coffee and a slice of apple pie, and watched the world go by with soft, kind eyes. People respected him. Kids loved him. He tipped well. He smiled often. But today, Earl had made a simple request. "Son, could you lower your voice? There are families here." He was polite, calm, gentle. But the biker, Jake, Viper, Malone, took it as a challenge. The biker's rage. Viper slammed his fist on the table, rattling dishes. "You think you can tell me what to do?" he barked, stepping toward Earl. Earl remained seated. "I fought so we could all live in peace," he said quietly. "That includes you." Viper scoffed. "Fought? You think anyone cares about some dusty old war?" The diner murmured in discomfort. Rosie, the owner, tried to intervene. "Jake, stop it." But in one swift, cruel moment. Slap. Earl's head whipped to the side. A hush fell over the room. For a long moment, the quiet was deafening. Then Earl turned his head back and looked straight into Jake's eyes. There was no fear, only disappointment. Cowardice in the crowd. Some patrons looked away in shame. Some whispered, "Should we call the police?" But Viper stood there, smug. He believed no one would stop him. He puffed his chest. "That's what I thought. Nobody's got the guts." Earl reached for his napkin, dabbed the corner of his lip, and said softly, "You have no idea what real guts are." A phone call. Rosie, her hands shaking, reached for the counter phone. "Who are you calling?" Viper barked. She didn't answer, just spoke calmly into the phone. It happened again. He hit Earl. "Please hurry." Viper laughed. "What, your cops going to scare me?" Rosie hung up, eyes steady. "I didn't call the cops." 30 minutes of silence. Viper stayed in the diner, pacing, barking at anyone who looked at him. He felt powerful. But the atmosphere had shifted. People weren't afraid, they were waiting. Waiting for something. Or someone. Earl sat with quiet dignity, hands folded, eyes on the door, as though he knew exactly what was coming. Outside, the sound began faint and distant. Engines. Many engines. Growing louder. Then the ground trembled. The diner's windows rattled. Military transport trucks. Jeeps. Dozens of soldiers. And in front of them all, a man in full uniform stepped out. The sun arrives. The door swung open. Command Sergeant Major Daniel Thompson. Earl's son. Decorated. Respected. Known across multiple bases as the Iron Backbone. His eyes scanned the diner until they landed on his father. "Dad, are you all right?" Earl smiled softly. "I'm fine, son." Then Daniel's gaze shifted to Viper. And the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. The room stands tall. The soldiers didn't draw weapons. They didn't shout. They simply walked in with perfect posture, filling the diner with discipline, unity, and quiet power. Every patron stood, not because they were told to, but out of respect. Viper suddenly felt small. Very, very small. Daniel stepped closer. "You hit my father." Viper stammered. He disrespected me." Daniel's voice was calm, deadly calm. "This man stormed Frozen Hills so you could stand here free. He held dying soldiers in his arms at 20 years old. He wakes up every night from memories you could never survive." Viper backed away. "Look, Daniel cut him off. "You thought he was weak because he's old." He leaned in. "Son, you've never seen strength." The lesson. Daniel didn't touch him. Instead, he called 2 MPs, military police, forward. "MP 1, sir, charges." Daniel paused, and looked at his father. Earl stood up slowly, placing a gentle hand on his son's arm. "No." He doesn't need prison. Earl looked at Viper. He needs purpose. The diner murmured in surprise. Earl continued, I've seen men change. I've seen cowards become protectors. But only if they learn respect. Viper swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? Earl nodded toward the soldiers. You're going to spend time with these men. Learn discipline. Learn honor. Or spend time behind bars. Your choice. Viper looked at the soldiers, then at Earl. And for the first time, he lowered his head. I'm sorry. Earl smiled. Apology accepted. Now prove it. Weeks later, Viper showed up at Rosie's diner every day, not to intimidate, but to help. He cleaned tables, carried groceries for seniors, talked to Earl, and on Sunday mornings, he sat with the soldiers during their training sessions as a volunteer helper. He cut his hair, straightened his posture, began saying, sir, and, ma'am. He wasn't perfect, but he was trying. One day, after months of effort, Viper stood beside Earl outside the diner. You know, he said quietly, the day I hit you, I hated myself after. I just didn't know how to change. Earl placed a hand on his shoulder. Everyone falls. Only the strong stand back up. Viper nodded slowly. Thank you, for not giving up on me. The inspiring message. That evening, Rosie placed a framed photo on the diner wall. A picture of Earl, Daniel, and, shockingly, Viper, all smiling together. Under it, a plaque. Strength is not in the fists. It is in dignity, discipline, and the courage to change. Final moment. Earl lifted his coffee mug and looked around the diner filled with soldiers, families, and even reformed bikers. With a proud smile, he said, This is the America I fought for. And everyone stood, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of respect.